Hello, everybody, and welcome to WIldin Out. I'm joined today by Tom Carter and Dr. Fish. So, Dr. Fish, how are you doing?
I'm doing quite well. I'm excited to be back for another week of the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Yeah, had a good season so far. Yeah, excited to get into the what we got going on this week. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's been a while since I've been here, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, glad to have you on here.
All right.
So, yeah, we can go ahead and start things off. Fish, you want to take it away with our Player of the Week?
I would love to. So this week, for Player of the Week, we have EPT Hopper. In a close battle between Sunken Shakers and Zarella's Disciples, EPT Hopper had to go up against ex Tuliop and was able to take a 3-2 win to silence the Ribbit of the Frogman and to help get the 15-12 week win over XD. So congratulations to Hopper.
Yeah, this was a really close week for us. Obviously, I wish we won, but Shakers, they're really good. So props to them. I think I know Hopper and Tulio did I think they had a little bit of a randomization of their lineups just because it was just really it was really late and neither one of them had submitted, and so they're just you know what, we're just gonna pick a random lineup that someone brought last week, and yeah, it happened.
That's
Uh,
funny. Yeah,
so
love to see it. Honestly, a little bit of
yeah.
sportsmanship between the two.
The moral of the story from this set is that free shaman is bad. But
Ah,
but I guess with that kind of segues nicely into our meta overview, which I'll cover tonight because Marty is not here. To start things off, Demon Hunter pretty much a dead class again. We saw a little bit of a resurgence of aggro Demon Hunter, but with the nerfs to Multi Strike and Drekthar targeted at standard, it's basically just been completely deleted. Um, Druid, still incredibly strong and incredibly versatile class, and still no one has really settled quite on what we're supposed to be doing. Um, Slight increases all the way across the board, but still tons of variety. Cthulhu Druid still the most popular, with various alignment druids. Kind of bringing it up right behind. They're kind of a little bit different in their targets. Cthulhu Druid's more of a control deck, while the alignment druid just wants to kill you fast. So different, niches, but all pretty good decks. Druid's incredibly versatile. There's a lot to do. Just has so many high rolls that you can plug into every deck, and you're bound to hit one of them. So,
Yeah, saying
um,
that we don't know what to do with Druid is a stretch. Druid is the combo class, and you're just going to add a win condition, and you're going to support it with Oaken summons. The rest doesn't really matter.
yeah, yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, I think I do like the people have been taking a lot of use out of the new Flipper friends with Floop. Just the Druid just has so many options now. Like Floop has gotten a lot more support and is really good. You still have Twig Sphere, which has become incredibly consistent with Moonlit Guidance and most recently Aquatic Form. So all these high rolls getting more consistent. Obviously, still Oaken is still busted. Still probably the strongest thing in Druid. Um, yeah, it just has so many powerful combos. Little high rolls that just it's
It's
pretty
pretty.
bonkers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. No, no, no. Leave it that spirity because I am a
yeah.
Druid enjoyer myself. It's
Uh
okay.
huh. Yeah. Uh huh.
Mhm.
But moving on, Hunter definitely died down a lot since the start of the season. Quest Hunter especially is just kind of dropped. It's almost gone entirely. We saw it a lot at the start of the season, but it's just kind of it just loses pretty hard to a lot of the stuff, especially like mech decks and druids. Just really not good matchups at all. So even Hunter's kind of the most popular Hunter deck, but even then not that popular. A little bit of Beast Hunter in there as well, but Hunter is definitely definitely I guess out of its time in the light. It's definitely died down a lot. Mage, pretty much the same as last week. Mostly just Quest Mage and Mech Mage. Um, Quest Mage proven to be a pretty strong deck. I think its biggest weakness on ladder is Pirate Rogue, but in THL you get your one ban. So if you can ban the Pirate Rogue, it's pretty strong deck. It does. I mean, it is targetable. It does have some weaknesses, but against a very significant spread of the decks that are in wild right now, it's pretty good. So um, Mech Mage also still very strong, very similar to Mech Paladin. Um, both of which are just very swingy, fast, all-in aggro decks that push other aggro decks off the board. Um, which segues into Paladin, where um, yeah, like I mentioned, pretty much just Mech Paladin. Lots of it. Little more than Mech Mage actually. Um, with a little bit of Reno Paladin as well. That has definitely gone up a bit since last week. I think Mech Paladin as well has moved up like 50%. So Paladin definitely increasing a little bit of variety here. Both solid decks. Reno Paladin, it really just looks like a pile of cards, but it works. Uh, I I couldn't tell you how. I mean, you just play Nas and then you do your stuff, and it functions. I mean, Cariel's busted. Yeah, I don't know. I'm always surprised at how good Reno Paladin actually is. Um,
Scammed me this week, or it did good against me this week. I shouldn't say scammed.
a scam is a fair descriptor for Reno Paladin. I think it's.
Yeah,
I
but I mean there was a lot of draw. There was just a lot of poor draws from me and a lot of good draws from my opponent. So I wouldn't say it was necessarily a scam. It's just
yeah.
No, it goes back to the same old saying that if I won, it's because I'm super skilled, and if I lost, it's because I got coin flipped or skill issue or
Yeah,
scammed. So yeah,
yeah,
you got you got scammed.
all right. We'll take
yeah.
it.
Um, Priest. Massive drop in Inner Fire Priest. Deck has kind of died down a lot. It became really dominant towards the end of last meta, but it's just kind of or not meta, but last season. But this season it's died down a lot. I think Aggro Priest has actually overtaken it as the most brought Priest deck, which is another deck that kind of died down in popularity a lot. It's so interesting how Priest over time has just evolved. It used to be the slow control class where the decks were Raza and Big Priest, and now it's just aggro Shadow Priest and Inner Fire Priest. But yeah, Inner Fire, you know, it was already kind of on a decline, but I think the nerf to Drek really just kind of made people stop wanting to play it. I have to imagine it is not horrible. The deck, obviously Drek was kind of still the best card in the deck, but you could win with it without Drek, so it's
No,
probably
but
playable, but
you know that every time they nerf a card, even if it doesn't make the deck that much worse, the popularity drops because people are like, "Oh no, the deck now
yeah,
lost the win condition." When no,
yeah.
it lost a really good piece, but doesn't make the deck that much worse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think people hate playing with nerf cards, and like I said, it was already kind of like falling off a bit, which was like a little surprising, given like how many I guess more aggressive decks there are. But I think like just the decks we have, Rogue, we'll get into a second, and the mech decks are not like that abysmal into like Priest. Like it was much better into the older aggro decks, like Pirate Warrior and all that. So yeah, definitely died down a lot. Should probably still expect to see it a little bit, but definitely a lot less frequently. Um, Rogue, the big one. Yep, Pirate Rogue is just such a dominant, such a dominant deck in WoW. It's kind of the defining, you know, I guess like deck of the WoW format right now.
Mhm.
Most things are just like oh, this deck is really good, it just wants to ban Pirate Rogue, or oh, this deck is really good because it can beat Pirate Rogue. That's kind of how you're basing a lot of your lineups on. Is just am I banning Pirate Rogue, targeting it, or whatever, or just bringing it. Yeah, I think Pirate Rogue's a pretty healthy deck, but it is definitely defining the format right now. I think it's a relatively fair. It's very strong, but doesn't feel like decks have a lot of room to, I guess, win against it. So, um, other stuff in Rogue, pretty niche. Little bit of Pillager, Kingsbane, Aggro Rogue. I think we may should be on the lookout. With the revert to Null, Mine Rogue has actually popped up a little bit.
Yeah.
So this may be a little outdated now, but I do expect to see a little more experimentation with Rogue than just Pirate Rogue. Um, Shaman. Yeah, Free Shaman has reclaimed its throne as the most popular Shaman deck here. Frog Shaman got nerfed with Drek, meaning you kind of have to cut Radiance now. I think you still run Drek just because 3 frogs is better than 2, but now you don't get to run Radiance, which was a big part of like the early game high roll that Frog could do. So having to cut that, it's a little more consistently slower, which obviously makes the deck worse overall, but still good to see 11 brings. And then Free Shaman, yeah, been a very, very popular deck in Conquest for pretty much since it came into existence. It's yeah, still okay. I think it has fallen off a lot, mostly due to its pretty strong weakness to Pirate Rogue. Just doesn't really have ways to interact with the weapon, and
Agreed.
as you as you start to add more and more tech, you just lose leverage in other matchups, and it's just kind of like I think it's a good deck in a ban Rogue lineup. I don't think it's worth trying to tech for the Rogue, but again, like I mean, it is Free Shaman. If you really want to, you can just add in 8 tech cards for Rogue, and hope that you draw them at the right time.
Yeah,
I
it has.
Mhm.
No, go on. You were saying.
I wonder how many of these frog shamans were brought pre-patch,
Mm,
because obviously with the patch coming in on Thursday, some people probably knew that, and they wanted, and if they played ahead of time, then maybe they played with the unnerfed frog shaman. But I mean, we won't be able to really. I can't tell you that for sure. So
I mean, you need to go looking one for one, and
yeah.
yeah, that is a good point. I know. Yeah, me and 6J this week did or last week did play early, and we both brought Frog. So yeah, stats might be a little bit skewed in regards to the patch.
Yeah, I mean,
Just kind of an awkward day for the patch to come out, really.
yeah, I definitely think that the frog shaman brings are gonna drop off a cliff this week, very likely, but we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
it's still a really fun OTK. So those who are fans of OTK will bring in probably.
Yep. Next up, Warlock. Still, a lot to do in this class. Mostly seeing a lot of even Warlock. It's gotten a new high roll with Sea Devil Gigafin, which is incredibly strong. Yeah, I mean, Warlock has always been kind of a staple of Wild, and yeah, turns out, you know, 4 mana to just clear your opponent's board and create a massive amount of stats is pretty good. So, even Warlock still seeming to be the top dog here. But we are also seeing a lot of other use of the Warlock class with Mechathune, tripling in popularity, being a very strong deck, and then some Mine Warlock as well. So Warlock's still very versatile, lots to do. Yeah. And then last up is Warrior. Not really a whole lot going on in Warrior. Yeah, Pirate Warrior is just completely gone now. all that's really left is like niche control warrior builds, but I don't know. Same story as always, really. Where it's like it can be okay in the right lineup with the right target, but
Mhm.
overall, not really a class right now. So
Yeah, it's in such a weird spot. Like, who would have guessed that we will see more hunter than warrior this season, right?
yeah, I think like Pirate Warrior is just way too slow. It just like I mean obviously it had the quest nerfed, pretty significantly. But all the other decks we've seen coming out have just pushed it off the board completely. So
I mean, there is a chance that we get into a meta where bringing a slow aggro deck like Questline Warrior is the play, right? So you have a mediocre early game, but then you can just go infinite with the value of the Juggernaut. We don't know. We will see. Like, I think that I'm high on copium when I say that.
yeah, I think I mean like the Juggernaut is still very strong, and like Warrior does have powerful things it can do. It's just really, I mean, really, it's just too slow. It has just too many really bad matchups amongst all the other good decks. I think it's still like even after all the nerfs, it's still probably fine into most like jank decks. Um,
Yeah,
but
but people don't tend to bring Jank
yeah,
to.
yeah,
I mean, we know that some of you love your wacky decks.
Mhm.
Uh, I'm not pointing fingers. You know who you are, but
Yeah, there's a lot less. There's a lot less decks I would consider jank being brought this season comparatively to other seasons. We do
I
see
mean,
some.
it
We do
goes.
see some other decks, and maybe that's why it's like it feels like there's less jank being brought, like because of the other classifications. So we don't know exactly what they are, but yeah, like looking at it, a lot of this stuff is like pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the fact that DHL at its core is basically ladder, but with bans.
Mhm.
So in ladder, you also are seeing some lack of ruffle decks, on ladder.
For
So,
sure.
you know, in the end, it goes back to watching what it's play on ladder or what's powerful. Then you maybe do a little bit of tech. As Hyperin said, you see if you want to counter a deck or you want to ban it, but
Hmm.
you don't bring like Mill Rogue just because it's THL, right?
mhm,
Yeah,
I'm so
agreed.
sad.
yeah,
Unlikely,
yeah,
yeah, unless like you know it's gonna be good, for sure.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's actually kind of a funny segue
yeah.
into our featured decks this week because I think like you said you are right. Most people don't bring jank, but um Tom, what did
Yes,
Ataraxial bring this past week?
Oh, Ada.
yes. So Ataraxial brought what we are going to call Shuffle Rogue. I like to call it No Weak Condition Rogue, but that's me. Um, so it runs your classic shuffle cards as Ticketmaster, Strider, um, a Stowaway for tutoring those, Wax Raid. Um, but it also runs things like Deathhead Cultist, Dark Moon Statue, um, Valida the Hollow, Nesoth, like OG Nesoth. This deck is all over the place. It's amazing. I don't want to touch it with a stick. Um, it also has Hooked Scimitar. When you have the other weapon, like just add a couple pirates and high roll and add the other good weapon. But I guess that he knew what he was doing. Um, really interesting deck, and yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think that I'm going to be calling Ataraxel for my team, but or at least I'm going to tell him not to bring this. But
Yeah, I do want to. I want to point out. I think Ataraxia was playing. I think Risky Chance this week, and I think they're pretty good friends. And they agreed to. They agreed to a gentleman's, and like both brought. I think it was the same. Maybe there were slight differences, but it was at least very similar, if not the same. 4 decks that were
Let me look.
just
I'm now on.
complete off meta.
okay, now
I am.
that's
I am now.
okay.
I am now on this team. So let me look.
If that's the thing, okay, I'm cool with it. But otherwise, this is yikes, man.
Yeah, I think they did just agreed to to bring fun stuff, but yeah, Shuffle Rogue, the new wild meta breaker, turns out, when everyone said Rogue was broken, it wasn't actually Pirate Rogue. You heard it here first, Ataraxial innovating for the wild format. This is what a beautiful deck.
You need to pass like you don't have neither a turn 1 nor turn 2. You can play cards by turn 3, and by that point you are probably like what 10 HP if you face the good pro deck. I don't know.
Oh.
This is so like I'm looking at it. I'm like trying to figure like, is this 5 head or 2 head? And it's I don't see it, man.
All right. I don't know. I can't find anything. I'm gonna guess this was something that they agreed to. I'm not sure.
I think
because we need to be like they probably had to agree on something because otherwise this is
otherwise Ataraxia made a read of a century. So that's and I've teamed with him. I teamed with him on Bass Bros last season, and he definitely like knew what he was doing. He brought like some really interesting techs, and like got featured on here like a few times for like what he would do. For his deck building. He's a fantastic like he's a really interesting deck builder. I don't know if it's good. He definitely wins. So like I don't know if it's good or bad or it's just like crazy. I love it though. But we have one more.
No, that's for sure. But you're saying this is the read of the century. What are you reading? Like, what are you countering with that?
I don't know. I really don't know. But deck looks wacky, and it won. And it's really cool to get to see something like this featured because it won in THL. Yeah. So
okay. Moving on onto the next feature deck, Fish.
Yeah. So we're featuring Corbett's Aggro Priest list. At first glance, I was wondering why this was kind of this is a very kind of stock standard pirate shell aggro priest list. You got your Corsairs, your deckhands, and pretty much everything you want to run. The deck just hasn't been great for a while. It's top tier for a while, and no, it's getting a bunch of extra brings, and Corb was able to take this into his match and get a good win with this deck in his other lineup. This is just a solid deck that we've seen come in and out and has been on a downturn lately.
I think I do think like a significant like part of Shadow Priest still kind of being a thing is just Quest Mage. Like
anything that goes this fast can definitely prey on Quest Mage. So I think it's something to consider if you suspect something like that could get brought.
Yeah, it's also pretty good into to even lock as well. That's actually what my strategy for this week was. I brought Shadow Priest mostly because I wanted to. This is one of my pet decks, but fortunately Corp didn't bring even lock, but that's besides the point. It does have its like niche like they're not really niche, but it does it just like it has the decks that it's good against, but it loses really hard to the decks that it's bad against. Like I don't know, Druid plays Oaken, Shadow Priest kind of loses. Mech decks I think just kind of stomp it off the board. Shadow Priest is really praying that your opponent doesn't draw their like any of their removal at all a lot of the time, because if you get to just kind of snowball, then the damage adds up. Attendance, in my opinion, Attendant is the best aggro card ever printed. I think Shadow Priest can take losing patches more than losing Attendant. But I mean, it kind of lives and dies on Attendant, and if you don't hit that or your opponent has removal, it just kind of really sputters out. So, um, but yeah, with that, we can move on to our match recaps from last week, starting in the Green Conference, which I will go through. So, starting at the top, looks like we do have a lot of almost every team on here has played at least one match this week, so things are a little bit off, but Sunken Shakers still at the top, 97 points, 4-1 record, had the hardest schedule of anybody. Yeah, reigning champs, very very strong team. Shortly down we have F12 Viridian and APM, both very close in points. Yeah, like Momenture mentioned, the order does not get affected here by the points, but the values should be just a bit lower. But but yeah, F12 Viridian and APM here, second and third, very close. Yeah, still both very strong teams. Have had much I guess easier schedules, but yeah, been strong. F2L has been a top dog pretty much the entirety of the Wild series. So then Zyrillo's Disciples, moving down to a 3-2, kind of a small jump here. This is my team. I think we're pretty strong, but we're kind of entering like the tough part of our schedule now. And playing a lot of the other top teams of the series in a row. So we're making it and a pretty big jump down to Copium Clan and Bash Bros and Worgen Racers all very close together. Kind of see teams kind of bunched together a little bit. Copium Clan and Bash Bros still being 1-4, and Worgen Racers trying to get their first win. Yeah. Again, it is. I think we are. This might be. I think this is the middle of the season right now, or we are. No, I think
we're just past the halfway.
Just past the halfway.
So we're coming. So we got like 4 more. We got this week and 3 more after, before playoffs.
Yeah. So, there is still theoretically hope for these teams, but they really do need to make the most out of these last few weeks, or they'll start to get mathematically eliminated. So, yeah, definitely don't give up. There's still hope. But
hopium.
Yeah, we'll need to see some strong performances from here on out. But Fish, want to take us through our first match here with APM versus Bash Bros?
Yeah, for sure. So we have APM and Bash Bros. Very, very pretty lopsided 4-1 victory for APM. The win for Bash Bros coming from Gimme Lamp over Bone Masher, 3-1. But the rest going all the way of APM. Yo Daddy with a 3-0 sweep over Jules. Mr. 37 or MR37 with a 3-2 win over Reverb. Quake Lord with a sweep over Judo Chop. And Slate with a 3-0 sweep over Anubinator. I really hope that Bash Bros gets to put together a strong back half. I'm a big fan of a lot of people in the team, and I'm an ex member of the team in general, so it's great.
Sounds
yeah.
like you're a little bit biased.
Oh yeah, no, I'm 100% biased towards them. But also really well done by APM. They're playing really well this season at 4-1. So keep it up. I definitely from this point, you're in a good spot to contest for playoffs.
Yeah.
You heard it here, guys. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We have F2L Viridian against the Working Greasers. F2L Viridian being one of the stronger teams, as you said, Hyperin. We have Corvette against Maxibon. Corvette taking the win 3-1. On the second seed, we have Mari against Just Concede. Again, Mari taking the win 3-1. Get Me Out having on the third seed a complete sweep against Hudak. Going that is 3-0. Then we have the Rotted Zombie on the fourth seed going 3-2 against Woodford. And finally, we have Neshi Boston going 2-3 against Dankestad, which is the only loss this team had this week. We can see that they brought a lot of even Warlock from F2L Viridian, Pirate Rogue, Mech Mage, even Hunter Cthulhu Druid. We can see that they have a really non-linear lineup. It's not that a person makes it the lineup and everyone copies it. And from the other side, we see Pirate Rogue, Mine Warlock. Surprisingly enough, we have 3 of them, Mech Paladin and 1 Rhino Paladin. I think that you can see the difference between how a team makes their decks and the other team does it, and you can clearly see the difference. Besides the level of plays, F2L Viridian taking a win 18-8. So yeah, very powerful team.
Yep, big win for Viridian. And they're right back in second place.
Yep, for sure. Bit of a slow start for Viridian. Tough first week in them, but they've just kept on winning since then. Very strong team. Kind of as expected.
Now that Marty is not here, down with F2L.
Yeah. Copium in the chat if you hate F2L.
Oh my gosh. Can't wait to see all the copiums. I won't be playing one.
Moving on to I will
Brown Conference.
Moving on to Brown Conference. Fish, you want to walk us through the standings?
Yeah, the standings in this conference, in Brown Conference, is definitely a bit closer. There's a lot of teams. We have our one kind of standout team in Bread Likely with 90 points and a 4-1 record. And they also played one of the harder records. Or they've also played one of the harder strength of schedules. A lot of that does have to do with their cross-conference. They have the hardest cross-conference, I believe, of all the teams. Followed by Wokage at 78. Round Earthers Going to Work. F2L Celadon and WTF all sitting between 73 and 71. So they're all 1 point apart. And then down at the bottom of the conference, we have, before the week started, Weasel Tunnelers were ahead of World Shakers, but World Shakers with a match win this week is currently ahead in the standings. But they were at 54 points heading into this week, and Tunnelers were at 56.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can really see a clear difference in the conferences, and that I think like you mentioned, Green Conference, it's 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, 3-2, and then just kind of drop down 1-4, 1-4, 0-5. Brown Conference, like you said, Bread Likely is kind of the standout top dog here. but then everyone else pretty close together. It's much tighter knit. So
I mean, we need to make a statement here, and it's that Red likely got 2 weeks. They got the win because they got two DQs wins that gave them the 3-0. And I'm not saying
yeah.
they are not strong, but the reason why the point difference is so high between rank 1 and rank 2, between Brett Likely and Wokage, is because of that.
I definitely think like like it is pretty late into the season, and like they have stayed on top. I do think they've proven
100%.
themselves as a strong team.
No,
so.
for sure. But
Yeah.
that made it so
Yeah.
that the conference was shifted in another way. Like they didn't have that. I think that hard of a season so far.
Yeah, but their cross conference. I mean, their cross conference is just brutal. But I don't know, and I don't know how many of it they've played. But yeah,
We will see.
the standings are pretty close, and I think even like the bottom two teams are can definitely easily make runs to get contend for playoffs, especially if they can take wins over the teams ahead of them.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
No one is out yet.
But yeah, yeah. With that, moving on. Speaking of Bread Likely, we have Bread Likely versus WTF here. I think WTF before now was one of the top teams in Brown Conference. So this was kind of a battle for the top of Brown. Bread Likely taking it 17-10. With Agent PWE giving a 3-2 over Nops. Slad getting a 3-1 over Nice Jewish Owl. Always Just in Time getting a 3-1 over Schmoopy Daddy. Super Chicken getting a 3-1 over Blood Rose. And a sub battle in the 5 seed with Bread getting a 3-2 over Pigpen.
Yeah, I thought Pigpen was a perma sub, but I guess he's just been doing weekly subs for like the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the
I'm not sure either.
circumstances are
sure.
in regards to that, but yeah, pretty I mean, pretty good week for Bread Likely here. You can see lots of Cthulhu Druid and lots of Mage brought from them, with WTF opting for ton of Pirate Rogue. Definitely kind of see the decks these teams like to bring.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bread Likely taking it 4-1 in matches, and still pretty high scoring week for both teams. Not a single sweep here. So yeah, well done to Bread Likely. Definitely proven themselves as the standard team in the WoW format. But yeah, Tom, you want to take us through our second match for Brown Conference?
Sure. We have Wokage against Copium Clam. Copium Clam being 1-4 and Wokage being 3-2. Wokage took the win 16-10. Wokage having Jordan on the first seed, others on the second, Memnag on the third, Diamond Sobin on the fourth, and we have Hazer on the fifth. For Copium Clan, we have Tempo in the first seed, Kismet on the second. I hope that's how you pronounce that. We have Glare on the third, Nerve K on the fourth, and Turtle in the fifth. Sorry. So, going to the scores, Tempo took the win on the first seed against Jordan, 3-2. Others swept against Kismet, going 3-0. Megnac also swept Glare, going 3-0. Diamond won against Nerver K, 3-2. And finally, Hazer losing against Turtle, 2-3. And that's how we end that match, with Wokage taking the win with 2 sweeps.
Mm-hmm. I do want to point out. I think Turtle was a sub for this week. I think when the I guess the opposing team is from when it's a cross conference match. Sometimes the other team like subs will not be displayed in red.
Yeah, Turtle's a sub.
So yeah,
Oh, I
Turtle's a
thought he
sub for
was
this
a.
week.
Oh, I thought he was a permanent sub.
No, just for the week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, pretty good week for Wokage here. 2 sweeps, pretty strong performance from them. Definitely propelling themselves up in the rankings. It was kind of pretty. It has been pretty close the entire season, but this does kind of set them pretty well in second place for the time being. So yeah, good week for them.
Definitely.
But I guess I don't have anything else for those. I'm gonna go ahead and move straight into our player power rankings. Props to Marty.
Yes.
I guess I'll start things off with our honorable mentions. Starting off, we have Gimme Lamp going 4-1 with a PAR of 2.83. Itachi going 4-0 with a point ranking of 2.96. Slad 3-1 being 2.99. And then Bone Masher and Jordan MG both being 3-2 with a PAR of 3.25 and 3.42 respectively.
Yeah, congrats to our honorable mentions. They're very close. There's a very small margin between Jordan and the 10th player this week. And so I guess for that we can start at number 10. We have Sether for Christ, one of our occasional hosts. He's sitting at 4-1 with a 3.52. We have Nops at number 9, 3.61. Lasagna in 8th at 3.64. Agent PWE with 4.2. Number 6, we have EPT Hopper, our player of the week, also in the top 10, 4.52. And then we get a bit of a jump up to number 5 for Ataraxial with a 4.98. Corbett at 4. Corbett at 4 with a 5.08. And then another big jump up to Tempo with a 5.77. Our host Hyperin 5-0, 5.78. But in the number 1 spot, we have 6J still with a 6.22.
Yep. I was actually interested to see if 6J would still be above me, and turns out he is by a pretty significant amount.
Yeah, 0.5 ahead is still a lot considering it's a little under 0.5, but for sure. I think as we play more and more, as we play a few more weeks, I think things could potentially even out. For someone like you, if you can stay undefeated, obviously.
Yeah, we'll see. I've got some tough weeks ahead, but
100%.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
congratulations to everyone on the list. And if you at least we can't really say rigged on these things because Marty has a very specific formula he uses for this. And he's not here to give a whole spiel about it. But
So it works like 11x. Just enjoy it. Don't ask.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
that's our PPR for the week. So why don't we go ahead and start looking at preview matches, which we didn't have last week, but boy, do we have them this week. They're very interesting. Let's see who I got for the first one. Now, Tom, why don't you go ahead and talk about this first match?
Me.
Yeah.
We have. Yeah, I was the chosen one.
You were the chosen one.
So we are going to see Bread Likely against Whistle Tunnelers. We have talked extensively about Bread Likely. They are a very strong team. We can see that. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry, the image, I lost it. Okay, here we are. We have we can see that the team brought a lot of Druid, a lot of Mage. We have 3 Mech Mages, 2 Quest Mages, 4 Cthulhu Druids. We have 3 Mime Rogues, Mech Paladin, even Warlock. 1 Odd Warrior, like we were mentioning, even though they are not that common, when you know what you're targeting, it can be a really strong deck. And on the other side, with Whistle Tunnelers, we have a more colorful, if we want to say, lineup. With 2 warriors, we have DMH and Control Warrior. We have 3 Pyro Brogues, 3 Mech Paladins. I see correctly, 3 Mech Mages. Let's see if they can put up a fight against Brett Likely. But looking at the lineups, I see that Brett Likely has a more counter lineup against what Visual Tunnels have brought. What's your take, Hybrin?
Yeah, I think I haven't looked too in depth. I do agree with you with a lot of more I guess symmetry going on in Bread Likely's side. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested to see how this would go out. I'm not keen on any of the Warrior brings, frankly, but here's a bunch of them all in
Yeah, I
the
know.
same series.
We have
Um,
even have an appearance by the cult here.
yeah. So I mean, interested to see how it plans out. Do have all of the warrior decks do have mech decks on the opposing side.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
dead but not forgotten.
yeah, well, we'll see how this pans out. But
Mm-hmm.
we can get into depth here. With our specific featured set here of Agent PWE versus Rearcat. We get into the specific lists. Starting off with Agent PWE, we have even locked pretty standard list here. Um, you know, you have the Sea Devil, Gigafin, High Roll. You still got Anethron, Giants, Nulls. Yeah, um, pretty standard list here. And then the Mage again. Um, Nothing really stands out as particularly weird tech here. Um, we do have the Crush Claw, which I think a lot of lists have switched to running one Crush Claw Enforcer, just because Savara is the best card in the deck. It's so insanely powerful, and having an extra card in your deck to draw it, pretty good. Crush Claws, fine tempo, just tutoring your best card. Yeah, it's fine. We have Cthulhu Druid here. Notable inclusion. Mutanus, Naturalize. Little more anti-combo. Naturalize also being good into stuff like Evenlock. Other than that, pretty typical. And then lastly, we have Mind Rogue, which we alluded to a little earlier on. With the Wild Paw reverts. This has been surprisingly pretty good. So just with Snowfall Graveyard and Naval Mines combined with stuff like Sketchy Information or Necrean Blade, the damage adds up really quickly. And you're already running Secret Passage and tradables and that kind of stuff, which Null is just like unnerfed Null is really busted. It like I think it's pretty good in standard right now as well. And if like Null, just the one mana difference on Null is just makes such a huge difference. So yeah, I do expect this deck to be pretty good overall. So Fish, what do we have from your cat side?
Yep. So from Rearcat, he's brought Mech Pally, Mech Mage, Aggro Priest, and Pirate Rogue. So he's brought a full aggro lineup. And see what do I something that seems unusual out of the Mech Mage is the Bronze Gatekeepers. And the War Gear, I don't think you generally see those in Mech Mage. I can see if there might be something more for at least for the War Gear can be there for some burst potential. But generally, also the Snow Chugger is not a general include. At least I think I might be wrong.
He clearly. I mean, adding Snow Chugger and Bronze Gatekeeper, he's trying to add some anti-aggro tech.
Yeah,
maybe.
definitely. I think so.
I think like War Gear has turned out really, really good. It's a really good card in the deck. I think both mech decks should be running War Gear. Kind of like it seems expensive, but like I mean,
you pay usually like 2 or 3 mana for it. So
yeah, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just cause I'm used to seeing like Ziliax in these decks, and stuff like that.
I think I am surprised by the lack of Ziliax in these. I do think maybe some of like like you said, Snow Chuggers, Bronze Gatekeeper, not really a typical. Could definitely see those out for at least one Ziliax, or or at least Ziliax, and I would honestly add the other War Gear is what I meant to say.
The Mech Paladin seems like is a pretty solid deck. Not every deck runs the War Gear, but War Gear is pretty solid. It's just really good burst potential, and it obviously gets discounted by Galvanizer, Mech Warp, or stuff like that. The Aggro Priest looks very similar to what Corbett brought, which is just the very solid deck in general. Good at beating decks like Quest Mage, which we do see from the side of Agent PWE, and then Pirate Rogue. See if I don't see anything out of the ordinary. Just solid Pirate Rogue list. I think that this lineup, in some capacity, will be able to deal with this. We'll be able to get work done against this against this Quest Mage potentially. Be interesting. It's kind of like a battle of combo. It's combo and like I guess mid range, whatever you want to consider even lock to be. Versus full aggro. That's a super interesting matchup to kind of look at.
Yeah, I do think Agent PWE is kind of going for the ban rogue strategy here.
I agree. Yeah, you definitely ban rogue with this lineup.
I think even lock. I mean, there's a lot you can run with the tech. You can kind of build it either way to either try and target rogue or ban rogue. But this is definitely a ban rogue list, and the rest of the decks kind of reflect that. Druid's okay into rogue, but the other decks really want a rogue ban. So, or in this case, maybe the Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest kind of similar to rogue. Shadow Priest really does feel like it's just like kind of just a worse pirate rogue. It's like everything pirate rogue is doing is just like a little better than Shadow Priest, but that means they're cohesive together in the same lineup. But moving on to our next and final match preview here, we have F12 Viridian versus Zyrella's Disciples, my own team. We can see first thing jumps out, Neji and OTZ have already played. Unfortunately, breaks my heart. OTZ lost 2 and 3. I will blame that 100% on his bringing of Dead Man's Hand. I looked away for 10 minutes, and he had brought Dead Man's Hand. So
oh no!
But
hey, at least he won with Frog Shaman.
Yeah, we did get a win with Frog Shaman. I think it's still okay. Even without with the nerf deck. As for everything else, lots of Warlock, 10 Warlocks here. I mean mostly even Warlock with a little bit of Mechathune sprinkled here and there. OTZ bringing Reno Lock. I think it's a very strong class with both of those being very strong decks. A lot of free shaman from F2L, as well as lots of Druid from both sides. We all brought variations of Control Druid. I think Martians is actually a Reno Druid. I'm surprised the
Yep.
recognition put it as Dragon Druid.
Yeah, it is Reno,
but
but there is a lot of dragons, so it went dragons.
yeah, not really sure how the algorithms for the recognition are, but but yeah, I guess for me, I was targeting even Warlock. I was pretty confident Gorb would bring it. He did not, unfortunately. So I've got to play a little from behind. As for everyone else, I think I could see most going either way. Tulio's kind of got a rough matchup for his Quest Mage. Was kind of what Get Me Off was hedging towards and hit the target. So that will have to get through. I do think it's possible, especially through the free Shaman or even Warlock. But yeah. Do you want to delve into to Marty versus Martian here?
Yep, for sure. All right. So for lists, Marty has brought. Let's see, he has got the Quest Mage. It's very similar to what we saw coming from Agent PWE. Except there is no Crush Claw in the deck. Trying to look and see what the difference is. He has Varden Dawn Grasp in the deck, which is his choice of tech for his match with Martian. We've got Mine Rogue. We have Even Lock, pretty a deck that would look to ban Rogue, and then he's got APM Tog Druid. Very exciting to see that deck being brought. I'm not too familiar with the cards in it, but I see Tog, I see Azalina. That deck can do things for sure. If
is it APM?
I don't know if it's APM, but it's definitely Tog Waggle Druid. I don't know what APM Tog is.
I think
no, it's normal. This
is normal Tog Waggle Druid. My apologies to APM Tog players.
Yeah, this is pretty standard Tog list. Really, one of the two main directions you go with alignment is either Tog or Mechathune. I think Tog is probably a little better. It's a lot easier to play. Mechathune is incredibly difficult. There's so many things to think about at once, but both good decks. You play alignment, and that I mean, the win con after that doesn't matter as much as just getting to alignment and playing it.
For sure.
But Tom, you want to walk us through through Martian's decks here?
And on the other corner, we have Martian, who brought, as we were talking before, it says Dragon Druid. It's actually Reno Dragon Druid with Mutanus and the Alex combo because he runs Bran and he has both Alex. We have the same Quest Mage with also Paladin. I think both were looking to maybe survive an aggro fight if needed. Paladin is also really good against Evenlock, if done correctly, because you can use Potion not for the Parrot, but for the Paladin to win a couple more turns without gaining an extra turn. Then we have Pirate Rock, same standard list everyone is running, nothing new or innovative there. This list is very strong as it is. And finally, we have even Reno Warlock, or Reno Even Lock, however you want to call it, with some interesting choices as Nerubian Unraveler, Abyssal Summoner, we have Showstopper, and Ooze, which makes me think he was trying to cover all ends, maybe. We can tell that Martian is a big fan of his yellow cards, but yeah, I think that Martian's lineup is more interesting. We know Marty likes to be more traditional with his picks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely a ban rogue lineup from Marty. All these decks, they appreciate a ban rogue here. And Martian, like you mentioned, we're kind of weren't really hedging for one thing in particular. Just brought decks we thought were strong. He had to convince me about the Reno Dragon Druid, but it has performed well for him on ladder, so I'm hoping the same will come into play here in THL. Kind of same for the Reven, or Reven, yeah, Reno Even Warlock. It was a little more hedged into Rogue at first, but decided to cut a little bit just because you know, the Quest Mage especially really appreciated or really did not want to leave Rogue up, but no Rogue was brought, and the tech cards aren't completely dead. Ooze actually really good into Mine Rogue.
Yeah.
You can get rid of their Necroom Blade. So
True. It also works against Druid if you know when to flip the twig.
Yeah, that can be helpful for sure if they try to set up a twig going into their alignment turn. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say here. Guess with that we can move on to our last section here with our question of the week. So are the conferences balanced? Tom, go to you first. What do you think?
I think they are not. You can tell when you look at the differences, and the Brown Conference has such a line between like 2 and 3 and 5th and 6. Too many points differential, and the Green Conference has a more straight thing up until the 4th, and then you have a huge differential points between the 4th and the 5th team. Like I think that maybe switching a couple things around would make the conference more balanced, if you want to use that word. I don't think it's unfair, but when you look at it, I would say that they are balanced. Now we will see when how it ends with the cross conference. What about you, Fish? What do you think?
I like in a vacuum. There's clearly an imbalance between like top teams and lower teams, but I think besides a few maybe outliers, I think that like the teams that are on the top of their conferences are the teams that I would have looked at. And so yeah, they can definitely be there. I think WTF is like the biggest surprise for me as a team. Being up in third, being like up in they started in I guess they would have started in either 5th or 6th in the conference before this week. I guess it would have been but they are sitting pretty strong, at least after a win so far this week. I think that I do disagree with the best 4 teams are all in green that Bone Master said. I know that as a team in green conference, obviously you have a lot of very strong teams over there. But I think that Brown Conference is maybe a little less imbalanced. A lot of the teams are still competitive, and Green just has that very hard line of division between the teams. So definitely a little imbalanced, but I think things will even out in the end. For the top teams from Brown and the top teams from Green, I think they'll all be pretty similar, like in skill and strength.
I do think
for sure.
Yeah, I think I can't. It might have been the end of last week. I checked the point values, and the top 4 teams in green were above second place in brown. So I do think.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I do think that the top of I do think it is like, there's a much bigger gap in green. I think a lot of the stronger teams are there, but like you said, there are also a lot of strong teams in brown.
Yeah,
I think overall it was pretty well distributed. I do think green has an edge, but not like absurdly so. So, but yeah, yeah, Bowmesher, F12 Shakers, APM, all in semis last season, plus XD. Yep, I agree with that. I think Bread likely also a very strong team. I think I was expecting them to do well. I think they've kind of caught their groove a little bit, I guess. I think they were bringing a lot more like decks that overlap with standard at the start, but they've kind of eased into the wild format a little more now.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't have anything else. Unless what do you guys do? Yeah. Thank you all for coming on. Yeah. I look forward to seeing how this week pans out, and definitely want to see everyone next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.